that one element or a factor on which Dr. JP and Anna differ?
No, on the essence and the fundamentals, we are united.
I am talking of one factor, one element.
You're talking of, like all good media persons, you want to accentuate the different points of view. You know, Lok Satta's approach is institutional. Anna's approach is intuitive. A democracy in the long run works on an institutional plane, not on an intuitive plane. This is the fundamental issue. I'll give one or two examples that illustrate the point. Anna instinctively believes if there is a supreme overlordship, there's one great organization with great men and women, suddenly corruption will vanish. Therefore, there's a monolithic Lokpal with all the powers. It doesn't happen in real life. If that monolithic Lokpal itself becomes a nuisance to the country, and it has happened umpteen number of times. Our own Supreme Court, on occasion, the judges haven't acted well. During emergency, Supreme Court said people have no liberty. The very Supreme Court which is venerable. On occasion, the election commissioners were found to be men of clay. On occasion, the prime ministers and ministers and legislators were found to be wanting. So you cannot assume that merely because you empower one organization, make it supreme being, it will solve the problems. It has to be an institutional approach. Therefore, a graded set of institutions, Lokpal, Lokayukta, local ombudsman, judiciary must have separate system of accountability, somebody else separate system of accountability. The purpose is the same, but don't have one omnipotent God. That is the basic, the fundamental approach. The second approach is don't revile politics. Politics, by definition, has to be a noble endeavor. Politics, as it is practiced traditionally in the past 30, 40 years in particular, is disgraceful in India. But the answer to bad politics lies in good politics and more politics, not destroying politics. This is a fundamental credo for Lok Satta. Bad politics cannot be addressed by no politics. That means you want a Musharraf to come in and take over.
Dr. JP, I want to intervene here. Did you have a chance to discuss these things with Anna?
Anna has been a great and valued senior colleague. In fact, Anna's first campaign in Maharashtra, some 8-9 years ago, at the time of elections, he wanted to go around, mobilize public opinion about the value of vote and vote in the right manner, in a non-partisan manner. Anna used my personal campaign vehicle without even me using it. Just then we procured a campaign vehicle. I sent that campaign vehicle with all the infrastructure. So that's the kind of respect and regard we have for Anna. Therefore, we have had over the years a lot of dialogue. For instance, I remember in those days our discussion, I kept saying, your focus seems to be on the Vyakti, but Vyavastha is more important. The institutions are more important.
What did he say to that?
The people. He understood that. He immediately said, yes, Vyakti ka baat nahi hai, Vyavastha ki baat hai. So he fully understands it. He's a very shrewd person, a public spirited person, very experienced person. Recently, with Anna's team, on April 27, 2011, we actually had a round table with eminent Chief Justices, Justice Venkatachalaya and Justice J.S. Verma co-chaired that. And all the Anna team members, Anna could not come because there was a court case or something at that time on the day. But all his team members, the Prashant Bhushan and Shanti Bhushan, and Arvind Kejriwal and Kiran Bedi, all of them participated. So we have been always trying to see how best we can synergize.
That's nice. Dr. JP, how far and wide has Lok Satta spread in India now?
I think there are 3 levels at which we have to see. If you see the broad tenor of ideas and a new discourse and language and logic, whether Lok Satta as a symbol, as an emblem and as a brand has spread or not, those ideas have now gained common currency. 16 years ago when we started, this way of looking at things was novel, somewhat unique and totally out of Indian landscape. It is beyond the Indian landscape. Whereas today there are popular films which use the same dialogue. For instance, Lok Satta repeatedly uses one expression. What matters is not mere change of players, but a change in the rules of the game. A very powerful, popular film actually had this as the tagline, as the main tagline. So that's become now increasingly common in that sense. Lok Satta as a brand in terms of what is good in terms of governance and integrating many ideas, and also a consensual approach of bringing all the forces together in politics and out of politics. That's now spreading increasingly. Now in Bangalore it has taken roads, in Delhi, in UP, in Maharashtra, in Tamil Nadu, slowly it's spreading. But Lok Satta as a political entity with significant clout, it is still in early stages. In Andhra Pradesh, while the voting share is still not big, in terms of improving the nature of politics and in terms of setting the agenda, Lok Satta is the preeminent force in Andhra Pradesh. I mean, Lok Satta's word is more or less the last word now. In Bengaluru city, increasingly you can see that with people like Dr.Ashwin Mahesh leading. Similarly, in Mumbai, it is beginning to happen. So there are 3 levels, and it takes time and effort. But there is a tremendous acceleration going on in the country. If all the good people who joined the IAC, for instance, who are vexed with corruption, who want a different kind of India quickly, if they realize that, look, we cannot simply be the dissenters once in a while shouting, but we also have to be participants to transform and work together, overcoming our small differences if they may be, because there will be always small differences even in a family. Unless we are absolute idiots, no 2 human beings can completely agree with each other.
Right. Dr. JP, how do you assess the 2 main political parties of India, the Congress and the BJP? Come what may, whether like or not, they are running the show, either Congress friend or the BJP friend.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I think that's one of the central issues today. Very quickly, if you see the first 20 years after freedom, the Congress dominance and nation building, up to 67 roughly, I mean, exact date, very difficult to put, you know, fully the political history of this country. Second phase over the next 20-25 years, an urge for the alternative to Congress, Janata effort nationally, various efforts in each state. But by mid-80s or so, almost all over the country, you had a clear and strong alternative to Congress party, if not at the country level all the time, in each state. The third phase, last 20 years, intense, vigorous competition, almost unparalleled in human history. Almost nowhere in the world do you see such intense political struggle, political competition for power. We've been seeing it. Now suddenly, if you notice, both the major forces are down at the same time. You take Andhra Pradesh, both Congress and TDP are down. You take Karnataka, both Congress and Janata Dal are in difficulties, let's be honest. The Congress and BJP are in difficulties. You take national level in the 5 states elections recently, both Congress and BJP lost. Even in a state like Punjab where BJP's ally won, actually BJP lost team. So we have a situation where people are now mindlessly rejecting the dominant players, and because there is no other platform of sufficient stature in the public mind yet, they are simply accepting whatever is available. In the election, somebody has to win. So somebody is always emerging as a winner in a first past the post system. But you can see there is actually a decline of both the parties. Therefore, I don't agree that today Congress and BJP are increasingly important players. They're actually decreasingly important players. And that also could be an opportunity for the country. If these parties and all the important parties in the country realize that this kind of politics is not sustainable, it's not merely bad for the country, it's also bad for themselves, I think the real possibility of change happens there. You know, Mark Twain said, nothing concentrates the mind more beautifully than the knowledge that you only have 15 days to live.
That is true. Dr. Ashwin, next year Karnataka will go to the polls. You have been working closely with Dr. JP. Will Lok Satta be contesting in a big way in Karnataka?
100%. 100%. You probably already know about this thing, that we are working on a campaign that will ensure that at least in all of Bangalore, in each one of the legislative assembly seats in this city, there will be a candidate either from Lok Satta or a candidate that is fully backed by Lok Satta. As I've always said, it is important for us to be able to create candidates from within our organization, but more important to realize that our organization is part of a nation building process in which if other people emerge from elsewhere, we don't go and compete with them, but we become forces to support them and become what it is that they are trying to do for the country as well. We will ensure that this happens in the next assembly election, and if possible in other constituencies outside the city as well. There is some traction for Lok Satta in Davangere, there is some traction in Mangalore, Hubli, Dharwad. I think that this will continue to grow. We will also see Lok Satta's participation in parliamentary elections. I think by and large, Mr. Balram, you can assume that henceforth in all elections, wherever possible, we will ensure that there are Lok Satta candidates, and where that is not possible, we will ensure that there are candidates who are supported by Lok Satta for the same outcomes that we are pursuing as well.